what we shall be doing is we shall be also talking about how to start writing simple codes in Python. Okay, so there could be so many of you who may not be well aware of Python, who may not have used Python earlier. Okay, so it was okay for us. We said the tutors will start handling sessions where they will start teaching about how to write simple Python codes. Our focus is going to be computational physics, and therefore what we are going to do is, instead of going into the coding part completely, what we shall be doing is we'll talk about the ideas involved in computational physics. And once we discuss those ideas involved in computational physics, parallelly we'll be talking about using it for Excel as well as using it for the Python. Okay, as I mentioned in the earlier meeting, it is very important that the logical structure that we understand, and then shifting from one programming language to another programming language becomes very easy, or one kind of program to another kind of the package also becomes easy. Okay, so now there's somebody who is called random stuff, so I'm going to remove some of these people. And I have, as I have mentioned, please join through your registered name. Okay. Of course, another way is I will admit all of them and then remove so that they won't be able to join again. But that is going to be an issue. Okay. Now, let me share the presentation. So, the first simple thing is I will first explain few ideas involved, and then what we shall do is we shall talk about we shall talk about. I think there are messages. Let me handle those first. Okay, so we're talking about what are these simulations. Okay, a very quick basic of what are simulations, and then we'll immediately come to the tools. So what is a simulation? Simulation is numerically calculating the sequence of physical parameters in the given situation. Okay, and taking into account, of course, the given initial conditions. So that is what we do in solving physics problems. We know the laws, we can write the laws in terms of equations or the relations between different physical parameter. Okay, and we want to see how the system evolves as a function of time. Okay, so you need given initial conditions, and then you need to solve the, typically it is given in the form of differential equations. You need to solve the differential equation. Okay, but so to come to that stage, okay, we need to take things in certain steps. The numerical solutions to various differential equations are therefore part of simulations. Okay, it need not have visual effects. Simulation is not an animation. Okay, many times simulation could be just numbers. Okay, but at times you may convert it into visual effects also. Just to give a simple example, when scientists claim that they have simulated nuclear fusion bomb, naturally you don't expect no audio visual effect on your computer. Okay, you are going to expect the numbers written in terms of density, temperature, okay, or the amount of radiation. All those things you expect as an output. Okay, so in the same, so why one would do simulation? Because simulations could be done for multiple reasons. Okay, but one, of course, reason is we are, once the computer is available, we are not restricted to solve only approximate problems, because analytical solutions have limitations. Why simulations? To demonstrate some concept which may not be easy to set up in the lab. That is one kind of possibility. Okay, and especially when the systems are becoming more and more modern, it may not be possible, may not be easy to simulate everything, because system could be expensive, it could be costly. Simultaneously, it could be sometimes, I'm just keeping video off. Simultaneously, it could be difficult in terms of the resources involved. Okay, for example, all particle physics students, first it needs to be simulated because the resources involved are really very high and expensive. The change of parameters may not be easy in the lab. Okay, I mean, I'm just giving a very simple example, but it could, we can think of large number of examples. A typical bar pendulum, which people would talk in the lab. Okay, you can't be suspended at any point on the bar because there are certain fixed holes, and you cannot put holes everywhere. Okay, of course, one can always do modifications to that. Okay, but this was a very simplistic kind of example. Most of the astronomical problems you can't play with it. You can't play with planets, you can't play with stars. Okay, so you may not be able to perform experiments with astronomical objects naturally in the lab. Okay, so that is one thing. Is my audio not clear?
It is clear.
Yes, it is clear.
Okay, thank you. Maybe at different places,
Yeah,
the network issues are going to
network
be
issues
there.
are there.
Hopefully, see, this recording will be available, so it will be made available to all participants, and we will put on IIPT YouTube channel. Okay, the point is, as after basic introduction, we are going to start actually working with it, and that is where the workshop and the summer school becomes really useful. That you actually start doing things and learn. Trial and error with actual setup may be difficult. It can help to choose parameters in designing experiments. So sometimes simulations can be done, okay, first, so that you can precisely design a good experiment. And sometimes also to visualize the analytical solutions, because the graphical method many times really help us to understand what is happening. Okay, to give a personal example, long time back, when this topic of I was studying this topic of coupled harmonic oscillators. Okay, you look at the equations, you can make out certain things from analytical solutions, but really speaking, how exactly this must be happening, and those were not the days when easily available videos were there. Okay, so I decided, okay, let me start writing code. And one of the simplest programming language we had that time, it was about 20 years, was BASIC. Okay, so it was very easy to convert those differential equations to BASIC and write the code, and also some simple graphics could be used. And then it was really interesting to see that how coupled oscillators oscillate under different conditions. So when you say what is meant by normal mode of vibration, when you say a generalized vibration will have two different modes of vibrations, so give condition and see at lower frequency normal mode of vibration, things are in resonance. If higher frequency normal mode of vibration, the bodies are moving in opposite direction, and therefore naturally you expect the coupling to be playing strongest role. So those kind of things, we will see some of those things here also. But the point is, the visual effect many times really gives us good understanding of what we are looking at. Okay, and that helps in our understanding of the situation, understanding of physical concepts. Not always, of course. If you're dealing with quantum mechanics, visualization may or may not really be useful. Okay, there many times the final output one needs to interpret in a different way, but analytical solutions, if you know, looking at analytical solutions, sometimes you will not be able to easily grasp things. Okay, but looking at a graphical way can really help. Why Excel? Okay, and of course, this summer school is also going to talk about Python, but I'm also going to talk why Excel also. Okay, so Excel is already a well-developed package available to most people having PC, because more generally when you have PC, you have some or the other spreadsheet program. Most of the PCs have Microsoft Excel. Okay, some of you who are using maybe only Google Sheet kind of things, then even Google Sheet can do lots of things that Excel does. It is also a spreadsheet program, but of course Excel has developed some specialized package. We'll introduce some of those things to you. They are again free, but we'll introduce those packages to you. So it will have an advantage over Google Sheet, especially when we are using those things. With Android phones, of course, Google Sheet is more commonly available and people can do okay, but not everything can be done, and we will see what all those things, what are the limitations. Many of you might have learned basics of Excel in school. You may have used it for something else, but we'll also learn it how to do physics using that. Once basic techniques of simulation is learned, using it quickly for any programming language, learning becomes very easy. So if you learn it for one kind of package, ultimately the logic is going to be similar. The grammar will change, the syntax might change, the facilities available in that particular programming language might be different. But otherwise, okay, once you develop this skill, then you can easily transfer and translate it into another system. Okay, and finally, I'll come to just what are the basic terminologies in Excel. So Excel is a spreadsheet program. Every box is a cell. We'll see this immediately. Each cell can contain either data or a formula. We'll see what does that mean. Data can be number, text, date, time. It can be of any format, and it can be also an array of numbers. In the formula, we can refer to cells as variables. So, particular cell address can be given itself as a variable in the formula, and then automatically it will pick up value from that and do the calculations. And we'll see examples today. When values of cell changes, the value of dependent cell also automatically changes. So we'll see that if I've written a formula in one particular cell and that refers to another cell, so that other cell is acting as a variable, I change the value of the variable in that other cell. Okay, the value here of the function also is recalculated and the value changes, and that becomes really powerful tool. Okay, the Excel being a spreadsheet program, and it automatically relative, there is a relation between different cells. Okay, that really helps. Excel plot also are available, but Excel plots are not graphs because it is not really a curve fitting. When we talk about Excel plot, basically you draw the points, and what Excel tries to do is it tries to join it using the smoothest fit, but it is not a curve fitting plot. I mean, you may have from your experience real data which is not all falling on a straight line, but you want a straight line relation. Okay, so in that case, you can do a curve fitting for a straight line, but typical Excel plot will try to have a curve or have a smooth curve which will pass through all the points, but that is not what you expect. So in data analysis part, okay, you are not going to look, I mean, we don't plot, we don't do this curve plotting, but what we do there is trend line. Okay, and trend line is something that fits nicely through all the points. It will not pass through all the points, but it will give you the best regression, and that will be discussed in next 2 days when we will talk about data analysis. Okay, so let me come back to the Excel directly. Okay, so I'll stop this presentation and I'll present the Excel window to all of you. Is this visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. So let me talk some very basic simple things. So Excel, as we said, is a spreadsheet program, and you can see over here at the top A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, all these are columns written. Similarly, the rows have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. Okay, and each particular cell, whenever I click, has an address, or okay, and that address or the name of that cell is the default name of the cell is its column and row. So it is E column and fifth row, and therefore it will be called E5. And you see over here, this is the name on the left hand side wherever E5 is already typed. Okay, that is name of the cell. So I go to another cell, the name is displayed over here. It is possible, it says name box. It is possible to change the name of a cell from its default value of column and row whenever required. Most of the times we may not do that, but in some cases it becomes really useful to change it that way. Okay, so right now here I'm not going to change the name, and the name will be the default name. Now this name box also becomes useful if I want to select a range of cell. For example, I want to select say C3 to C10. Well, either I can directly drag this C3 to C10 over here. I've selected this, or I can write C3 in that name box. I'm writing C3 colon C10. Okay, so it gets dragged and all these cells are selected. Okay, now these are some of the techniques we'll be using in step by step. I will go. What I will do is I will do few things, then I'll give you some time so that you can work out parallelly on another window, another tab on Excel on your device. Okay, so now here and for some of you, of course, this could be some very easy, simple things, but quickly we'll go from simple to more and more difficult things. Okay, so pay attention and simultaneously do things. If you do not understood, do ask. Okay, I was talking about referring to a cell. Say, for example, here in the cell B3, I have written value 5. Okay, now equal to B3, I'm going to write here. Okay, now you see what happens. There are two cells. There is cell B3 and there is cell B6. Both are showing me value 5, but they are not same. In B3, I have written the data 5. Okay, and that you can see over here in the formula bar here on the right hand side, this big wide bar, if you can see. Okay, so this formula bar has just 5. So when I click on that cell, I get 5, which means it is a data which is written. On the other hand, in this cell B6, when I click on this, you see there is a formula written, and all formulas start with equal to sign. Okay, so I'm assigning this particular cell with equal to. So equal to is assigning, and then I write whatever I want to write. So I have written here B3 itself. So whatever is there in cell B3 will be automatically coming over here. But you see that I'm not writing value 5 here. This particular cell contains a formula, whereas B3 cell contains a value. Okay, so when you are looking at a sheet, you may look at only large number of numbers, but whether a formula written or not, what you have to do is you can click on that particular cell and see in this formula bar whether formula is there or data is there. Okay, now this is my independent cell because I'm writing data directly over here, whereas this becomes my dependent cell. Now suppose in B3 I change value from 5 to 15. Automatically you see that B6 will become 15 because the cell has written formula equal to B3. So whatever is there in B3 will automatically get copied. And suppose I write here ABC, automatically it will be copied as ABC. Whatever I write, whatever data I am going to write over here, thing will get copied here directly. Now this becomes useful when I want to generate some kind of data so that I want to know what kind of function it is. Say for example, we say whenever you want to learn physics, okay, you should know typically what are how different functions look like. Okay, now suppose I want to see how exponential function looks like. I want to see how logarithmic function looks like. I want to see how x e raised to x or x e raised to minus x function looks like. Okay, I will have to write the values, and Excel will automatically calculate the values of the functions. Okay, and then you can plot the graph and you can check what is happening. So let's look at that first. Suppose I want to write value starting from 0 to maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Now, instead of doing this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, what I can do is I can write a formula. So in A5, I have written 0. Okay. Now you may say, why I have written in A5? Now that's my standard practice, that all the formulas, or I mean all the data I want to generate. Okay. Suppose I want to generate a series of data. I generally start A5 onwards down. Okay. First 4 rows I keep for other things. Suppose I want to write some title, I want to write the description, or I want to define some variables, I keep for that. Okay, so you can have your own style, but I have found over years that this becomes useful. Keep first row 4 rows free for doing whatever you want to do. Say for example, I want to write here x. Okay, so this x is only an indication that what I'm going to write here in this column is, say, some x values, and here I want to say this is my x square. So I will just say x raised to 2. Okay, and I'm centering it. Okay, so these are only labels that I'm putting. That in this column I'm going to write x value, in this column I'm going to calculate x square. Okay, now here in A6 I'm going to write a formula. So I want x square. Okay, I mean, sorry, not x square. I want the value to increase by 1. So I will say equal to, all formulas should start with equal to A5, that is the upper cell, plus 1. When I do that, automatically it will calculate 0 plus 1, 1. Now I don't have to write the formula everywhere. What I can do is I can drag that formula down, and I will get automatically, Excel understands as a spreadsheet program that I have to change the reference. When I have written formula in A6 as A5 plus 1, in the A7 it automatically becomes A6 plus 1, A8 it becomes A7 plus 1, and so on. Okay, so this is what automatically happens. Another way of dragging instead of dragging, what you can do is you can copy and paste the formula. So if you are got used to keyboard shortcuts, and that becomes really useful when you are doing coding or when you are doing a lot of typing work. Okay, in programming, this also will be useful in Python. So what I can do is I can copy. So Control C is a shortcut for copying, and then I select all these cells and I say paste. So pasting is Control V. So I'm using that shortcut. Suppose I am interested in 0 to 100. I can, as I mentioned earlier, I can copy this, and then I can select up to 100. I have to go to 100 cells. So A6 colon A105. Those are going to be the 100 cells, and I paste it, and I can see that yes, in A105 I got this number 100. So this is one way of doing things. So now suppose I want to calculate x square here. I want to calculate x square here. Okay, so what I will do is equal to A5 square I will write, and it is calculated 0. Now I want to copy paste the same in up to that B105. So I will write here B5 colon B105. The capital and small doesn't make a difference. So it's not case sensitive as far as Excel is concerned. And then I paste it, and you get automatically all these numbers. Okay, so you get square up to 100. Okay, all these numbers you get. You want to plot a function, what you can do is you may select both these columns till the end, and after making selection, I can insert scatter plot here. Okay, which will give me a half parabola. because I started with 0. Suppose I had started with minus 50, okay, it will calculate the graph of minus 52 plus 50, and you can see the scale is also chosen by Excel automatically. So you see, for graphical purpose and for these kind of things, in order to understand how the function is looking, it is easy to quickly generate the numbers, sequence of numbers, and calculate the values of the function, and see how the function looks like. Yes, any question? Yeah. Is it fine? This part is fine?
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
I have a
Anybody
doubt
has?
about
Yes.
designing,
Yes.
sir.
Anybody
Yes,
has doubt,
sir.
please ask. Yes.
Sir, about this graphing. Can you just repeat this thing, graphing thing?
Okay. So what I'm using now this Office 2007 version. Later versions also have all this feature. Only thing is that the tabs might be slightly different. Okay, so one has to search for that. But in the insert tab, it will be available. Let me show that part again. Okay, so I'm deleting this graph. Okay, and what I'm doing is I'm selecting this first entire data again, selecting this. I'm coming up using sidebar, because otherwise if I insert, no, it will get inserted at the bottom of the page. Okay, so using sidebar, I came up here, and what I'm going to do is I will click on insert tab. There is scatter plot. There are different kind of plots available. So mainly we are going to use scatter plot. For data analysis purpose, you may use at times histogram and other things, but we are interested in typically x versus y kind of a graph. That comes with scatter. And I'm plotting. There are multiple options available. One option is just plot the points. One option is do not plot the points, but draw a smooth curve through all the points. Okay, so I'm choosing that option. And there is one option where again you are not joining all the points, but it is all the points are direct. I mean, all the points are directly joined, not via smooth curve. Okay, so it's just straight line joining between nearest neighbors. So I'm going to select this, and it gives me automatically this plot. Now, what does Excel take as x-axis and y-axis? That is very important question. So whenever you select two neighboring columns, the first column is selected as x-axis, the next column is selected as y-axis. Okay, if I want alternate columns, what to do? If I have got 4-5 columns and I want to select only 2 out of them, okay, what to do for in such cases I will explain. Okay, but this is the first simplest thing, that you have calculated the x series, you have calculated the values of the function that we needed, x square k. Okay, and you selected both columns together. Then you said insert chart, and it automatically selected first column as your x variable and the second column as your y variable. Okay, that is one thing. Now, if you want first column as y variable and second column as x variable, you will have to make changes in this. Okay, but we'll go step by step. And first thing, let me quickly show you what are the different kind of functions which are available, so that you can plot various kinds of functions. Now, I was saying that suppose you are interested in plotting x e raised to minus x, and suppose I'm interested in plotting in the range of -1 to +1, or say -1 to -2 to +2. Okay, now I already selected from 0 to 100, and I'm increasing everything by 1. Now, instead of that, suppose I start with -2, and I want final value. I have taken 100 points. Okay, so I want final value as 2. So I should total variation is 2 to -2, that is 4, and I have to increase the next number instead of by 1, 0.04. So suppose 0.04 I have written in the formula, but then this formula I have to paste everywhere down, and when I do that, you see the last number becomes 2. Okay, and I'm getting value from 2 to 4. One thing that you will observe here in Excel is the plot has still remained the same, because Excel automatically adjusted the x-axis and y-axis scales. Okay, that is one good thing about Excel. At times it becomes problematic because you don't want Excel to do that. You want certain numbers and you want to see that the function can is becoming actually smaller. It is not automatic. The scaling has not automatically done. So if you want specific axis only, I want to plot everything from -5 to +5 and say 0 to 25 only. And within that, I want to see a small graph. If you want that, then again, you have to do the formatting of axis and do that. Okay, so we'll learn some of those things step by step. Now, next thing is I wanted that function of x e raised to -x. Okay, so x exp minus x. Now, this I'm just writing at the top to show you that what is happening, what kind of function I'm writing. I could have just written f of x. Okay, that is also fine. But here in the formula, I must write what is that correct expression. Remember, in place of x, I'm going to take value of a5. So I'm going to write the address or name of that cell, and that is acting as a variable. So I'm going to write a5 into, so I have to write into, otherwise it will give me an error. And you can see what I'm typing here as in this cell as well as in this bar, and I hope it is visible, sufficiently visible font.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I have typed here a5 into exp minus a5. So exp is e raised to x function, okay, minus of x value. That x value is nothing but I'm picking from a5. Okay, I have written this, and then I will plot. I will have to paste this formula everywhere. So I will select all these cells and I will paste it. And when I do that, what you observe, this from -2 to +2, x e raised to -x function looks like this. Okay. Now, if I am interested in 0 to 2 or 0 to 4, how does it look like? So I'm changing the first variable. Now, my last variable is 4. And what you observe, 0 to 4, the graph x e raised to -x graph goes like this. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you can then write various kinds of functions, and you can write. Now, some precautions. Suppose I am interested in x e raised to -x square minus a5 square. Okay. So if I write this minus a5 square, and for positive as well as negative values, suppose I want to do. So I start with -2. Okay. And I do x square. You see, it will not give me correct value. Of course, I have to copy this everywhere. But even then, it is not giving me correct value. Why? Because what it is doing is it is taking minus a5 and then squaring of that. You see, this minus sign is a unary operation. So that takes place first, and then it is squared. What I wanted was minus of a5 square. So I should write another bracket there, keeping in mind that power operation has lesser precedence than unary operation of negative sign. So I will have to write bracket for power. So a5 square I calculate first. Then I give that negative sign over here. Then that will be calculated. Then exponential function will be calculated. So when I do this, this is what you get, x e raised to -x square function. Okay, so x e raised to -x square function is like this. But one has to keep in mind while writing formulae, what are the precedence rules. Now, these precedence rules are not very different. Okay, typically in scientific calculator, you have similar kind of precedence rules. Okay, so it is not really very different. Yes, Anjana Krishnan has mentioned that can you use Google Sheet, and yeah, you can use Google Sheets, and in there you can select insert charts. Yes, yeah, Shad Mohammed has said that you don't have MS Excel subscription. So Google Sheet can be used for many of these things. Only few things that will show tomorrow, day after, or later, you may not be able to do in Google Sheet, but otherwise most of these things you should be able to do in Google Sheet. Okay, even those who have MS subscription, you want to use Google Sheet with your normal Google account, you can directly go to Google Sheets and you can and start working, and that those Google Sheets will be automatically saved in your Google Drive. Okay, so yes, that is possible. And thank you. And this is also, we expect that individually also you are going to help each other as far as technical things are concerned, or working out things are concerned. Okay, that is one of the major aim or major facility that we have when we are conducting summer schools like this. Okay, so there are various different kind of functions, and today what I will do is I'll give you a list of exercises and assignments, upload on Google Classroom, go through that, plot every different function in every different sheet. So there are multiple sheets. Now I want to sheet 2, then I can go to sheet 3 at the bottom. I can insert new sheets. Okay, I have inserted now 4th sheet, 5th sheet, and so on. Okay, so everywhere different function you can plot and you can write things. Okay, is this part clear? Any difficulty, any doubt up to this point? Then we can move further.
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
Yeah. Of course, about using shortcuts is something really useful and important. Okay, let us go to next thing. Now here, when I wanted to change the limit from -2 to +2, there are two things which happen. Say for example, I want to go, instead of -2 to +2, I want to go -5 to +5. I say -5. Mentally, I am doing calculation that -5, what increment I should do. I had 100 points, so I should now -5 to +5. If I want, the difference is going to be 10. And if the difference is 10, then 10 divided by 100, I should increase everything by 0.1. So I will have to write, see, number 1, I change this -5. Then I change it to, I have to increase it by 0.1. And then I have to copy and paste it till the end so that I get final value as +5. Okay, so -5 to +5, I have done this way. Is there a way to simplify this? So yes, there is a way to simplify this. What do we do? I can see now this, whatever 3 rows I have left, they can become useful. I can decide what will be my dx value. So dx value I wanted as 0.1 here. So I will write that as 0.1. Okay, and I will say, instead of A5 in this cell A6, instead of writing A5 plus 0.1, I can write A5 plus A2. Okay, and I can copy and paste, but there will be an issue. It started giving issue immediately here. Why that happened? Because you see, when I did A5 plus A2 and I dragged it down, it became A6 plus A3 in the next cell. But I don't want that. I want A6 plus A2 only. So I want to lock this particular cell. So how do I lock? So for locking cell in a formula, what I want to lock, I'm going to use this formula in the column A only. Okay, but I want this second row to be locked. So what I will do is I will write $sign here. So I write A5 plus A$2. Okay, so when I do this and I copy that formula up to the end, see what is happening. Everywhere my first value is changing its reference. So when I go to cell A8, it is taking A7, but this value is remaining A$2, but because it is locked. Okay, so I can change this number from 0.1 to say 0.2. Okay, and automatically everything is changing by 0.2. Now I don't have to copy and paste everywhere. Still, one problem remains. What is that? My first value and my last value are going to be different now, because I'm increasing, instead of by 0.1, I'm increasing by 0.2. My first value has remained same, -5. The last value has become 15. I want my first value and last value also to remain fixed. So I can define, this is not a way of defining, I'm just writing. See, this first row I'm only writing so that we understand what you have done. So somebody else is going to see your spreadsheet, that person will understand what you have done. Okay, so I'm just writing for convenience, this value. Even if I don't write this, it is no problem. Okay, I'm going to write here the lower limit. Suppose I want lower limit as -5 and upper limit as +5. And I have decided 100 points. So what I can do here is I can write a formula and say this is equal to this cell upper limit minus lower limit C2 minus B2. That is upper, C2 is in upper limit, and B2 is lower limit. Bracket divided by 100 because I want 100 cells. And calculated as 0.1. Now I have something very interesting. I can change my limits in B and C cell only. So I can go to -3 and +3. I don't have to do much of the changes. Okay, and of course I will have to write here that this should be equal to the lower limit. Okay, so first value I'm going to write as lower limit. Automatically things will start changing. So this is -5 to +5 I want. So it adjusted. -1 to +1 if I want. So it adjusted. -2 to +2 I want. It adjusted that. So what has happened? I have decided what is the upper limit, what is the lower limit, and because I'm going to take say 100 points only, I know what should be the incremental step. Okay, see, all these are going to be later useful when we are going to do numerical integration and differentiation. It's all differential equation. Okay, but these steps are going to be very useful. So I put the upper limit, I put the lower limit, I put the difference. In order to understand what is this, I may write an extra, I may use an extra cell. So I'll say this is x max, this is x min, and this is dx. Okay, I may calculate x max, I may write x max first, the x min later, dx later, and so on. It is all up to you. Fine. So once I have done this, I can plot various different functions. Say, for example, instead of plotting x e raised to -x, what I may do is I may calculate x square e raised to -x. Okay, so I'm going to write this function and drag it down everywhere. So now x square e raised to -x square function looks like this between -2 to +2. I want to see how it looks between -5 to +5. You know, it looks like this. So this is how one, you can quickly start changing functions and get the same result. I mean, you don't have to do everything again and again. Okay, once you have written certain things, once you have decided what is my upper limit, lower limit, what is going to be the increment, okay, you can quickly start using it. This is only to indicate how powerful the Excel is in certain ways. Okay, I don't have to deal that. You can do lots of things. Of course, there are things which you can do better in coding, and you will learn those as you're going to learn Python. Okay, different codes you're going to learn. But this is one powerful thing that one can quickly do. And where this will be useful, you write different types of functions, see how they behave, see what is the behavior of different kind of functions. Okay, and becomes really useful. Any questions, any difficulties, any doubts here?
Sir, can you explain how to use the $sign?
Okay, so let me start with a new sheet, and there I'll explain how to use $sign. In my cell A1, I have written quantity 0.1. Okay, in my cell A5, I have written 0. And A5 down, I'm going to write A5 plus this increment, which is there in A1 now. So I will have to write A1, okay, and it automatically calculates correctly. problem comes when I drag it down. You see, it doesn't become A2, 0.2. Why? Because as A5 became A6, A1 also became A2. And we don't want that. We want only this, I mean, the second incremental part to remain fixed to this particular cell. And if I want that, I will have to write $sign before that number. What I want to fix, that first row I want to fix. So I'll put before 1, I'll put $sign. You may put $A, $1 also. That is not going to create a problem. And I can then drag it down or paste it, copy and paste, and you will see every formula. See, as I'm going to next and next cell, okay, the first number reference is changing because it is the earlier cell. But the second number is the incremental value that I want to put, and it is taken from $A, $1, which means this particular cell is locked. So if I change the value of this cell only, then the values are going to change. So if I make it 0.2, you see all values automatically change down here from 0.2, 0.4, 0.6 up to 1.8. If I make this value 1, you will see that all these values are automatically changing like this. Okay, so in order to lock one particular cell, and that is going to be useful when you are generating a sequence of numbers, okay, that you lock it to particular value and you go on dragging it. Now suppose I want to write the same formula for another cell here, say B. Now here, suppose I want to generate in the column C, I want to generate another sequence, okay, and that sequence I want to start from say 10, and I want to increase the upper number by the same value. So what I can do is I can copy this formula, okay, and to all the cells down here. See what has happened. Look at the formula that is written here. The first value I'm writing is 10. This is the data. You can see in the formula bar, it is 10 written. But look at the next values. These are formula, and see, I copied this formula directly here. Excel understands here, if I had taken the earlier cell, instead at A6, I am referring to A5. Then at C6, I will be referring to C5. So it has understood that. Okay. But because that $A, $1 is there, this particular cell is locked and it is going to increase the value by 1 only. Okay. And therefore, as I go further and further down, okay, this value remains fixed. But suppose I wanted this, I mean, in this column, the incremental step to be different. Say I want here everything to increase by say 2. Is it possible to copy from the same formula? So yes, it is possible. Let me see how. But before that, okay. Yeah, Mandar is asking question about Python class. I had mentioned the schedule will be putting, but immediately after this class, I have mentioned, but I will put that schedule in the group. Okay. Coming back to this, fine. Here, instead of writing no $A, $1, suppose I had written earlier at $1. I don't want to lock 8th column. Okay, I don't want to lock 8th column. Now, when I copy this here and down up to this, see what has happened. Now the increment here is 2. From where it is picked up? From this cell. If I make this cell as 5, the increment is in 5. If I make this cell 15, the increment is 15. And why that has happened? Because see what got copied. When I copied this A5, see in the cell A6, formula is A5 plus $1. What is locked? First row in this second term is locked. Okay, nothing else is locked. So what is this indicating? In A6, if I'm picking up a number from A5, the earlier cell, when I copy paste the same formula to C6, it copies first number from C5. Okay, the relation remains the same, the upper cell. Also, when I copied keeping first row constant, I copied the second term from the same row, $1. Here it is automatically translated that I have to use the same column, but first row is going to be locked. And therefore, everywhere here, the earlier cell plus $1 is automatically copied. Now I can copy the same formula here. See what is happening. Every value is becoming 0 for two reasons. Number one, I did not start with anything. So when you don't start with anything, Excel assumes it is 0. Now this is important to remember, that when you have not written anything in the cell, Excel takes that value as 0. Okay, so I write now here 0. Well, even then it is going to be 0 because now it is picking up the increment from cell E1. You see that in the formula it is $1. So if I don't write anything in E1, it is going to consider that increment is 0. So even if I write, say, for example, here 25 in the first cell, all other cells are going to become 25 because the incremental value is 0. If I make incremental value as, say, 0.1, and you will see automatically all values will change accordingly. Okay, is this part clear of what is to be locked?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Do some
Yes.
yeah. As you're going to work on the assignment, you will do some practice. And I say, I even if you are fully interested in Python, that is perfectly fine. I will suggest that do even these assignments, because many times this becomes a very quick method to do things, and especially Excel is available everywhere. Okay, of course not everybody may have subscription to Microsoft, but at least many of these things you can quickly do in Google Sheet as well. Okay, so this is about the relation between different cells, how to generate a string of numbers, and how to write function, and how to calculate the plot. Now suppose, what are the different other functions that you can plot? So you can have trigonometric functions. So let me take a case here. I want to go from 0 to 360. So what I will do is my smallest number, say x minimum, I'm going to write 0. X maximum, I'm going to write 360 degrees. I'm dealing in degrees. And dx, I'm writing as 1. So I need to take 360 numbers. Okay. I will have to take 360 numbers. So now, when I go to this, remember I wanted to start everything at 5. I mean, I'll just continue with that practice. It's just a practice. You may have your own choice, but I found this useful. So here in the fourth column, right? Okay, this is my angle theta. Okay, x angle. Okay, and I want to write here sine of angle. Sine of x. I'm not writing the label that I'm writing. I start 0. I'll say equal to and this number. Okay, here I say that this is going to be A5 plus $A $1 plus $2, because that one number is in 2. I drag it up to 360 next cells. I know I have started with 5, and next 360 cells will make it A365. So I can write here in the name box A6 colon A365. It will select all those, and I paste the formula. So what happened? On the last cell, I use control down arrow and the last cell check by using control up arrow key. So some of these keyboard shortcuts really help you. Now I want to calculate sine of these angles. So there is a sine function. However, this sine function in Excel assumes that the angle is in radians. For us, many times angle given in degrees is more convenient. For us, it becomes more convenient. But for many scientific purposes, of course, angles in radians are going to be useful. But here, what I'm going to do is, I will have to convert first this number, all the numbers written in column A, into radians first. I don't need to write a separate cell for that. I can write one formula in another. So I'm going to calculate sine of radians of A5. And look at the number of brackets that I am putting. So look at the formula, sine bracket radians bracket A5, bracket for radians is complete, bracket for sine is complete. The function is radians, not radian. Okay, so you need to write correct function. So function is radians. What does that radians function do? Whatever number I'm going to put there in the bracket of radians, that number it will treat as if it is in degrees, and it will convert that into radians. So whatever number I put, it will convert it into radians. So while putting the number, you should know that, well, this number has supposed to be in degrees, and I'm converting that into radians. Okay, so I do that, and I then copy paste the formula everywhere from this B6 to B365, B6 colon B365, and I paste it. Okay, so it calculated the sine and sine x. Now let me select all this, drag it up from the sidebar. There's an alternative way of doing it. Okay, what I can do is I can jump down to the lowermost cell, select that, and jump up to the topmost cell. So to jump, you have to use control button along with the motion keys, and you want to select simultaneously. So you simultaneously also select shift key. So control shift and up arrow will give me from that lowermost point to uppermost point everything selected. Okay, so you can do that. And then I want to plot the graph. So insert and this scatter, and you see I get a nice sine wave here on the sorry, and it is one. It is just one sinusoidal wave because I have gone from 0 to 360. Now the uses, I can take this x max to 720. Okay, but I have to calculate b max based on this, so I had not written that formula. So this should be x max minus x minimum bracket complete divided by 360, because 360 is the value, I mean total number of cells that I'm choosing. And you see here, I go to 360, I get one wave. I go to 720, I get two waves. Okay, and accordingly I can go on varying. So 360 into 3, so 1080, I'll get 3 waves and so on. Okay, so lower limit, upper limit you can choose. Instead of sine, you may write cos. And in Excel, again, it is you can write it in uppercase or lowercase, so it is case insensitive. Okay, so you will have to drag that, paste it, and you see that it is cosine function. Instead of having value up to 720, I can go minus 360 to plus 360. And you can see that it is the cosine function for two oscillations. So you can play with this kind of thing. And see, this was just a label. So even though I wrote a cosine function, the label has not changed. Okay, so I will have to write appropriate label and then x remains in angle, x in degrees, I may say, if I want to specify, so that somebody who is looking at the sheet independently, or many times you are looking at your own sheet after 6 months, okay, it becomes very useful. So one of the painful stuff as you write more and more complicated programs is to make it properly documented, and this you are also going to experience in Python codes. Writing code is a fun. Making documentation is not fun, but it is essential. Parallelly, when you are writing code, create documentation, create or write something that you have understood. Okay, may not be in the first day, second day when you are more interested in playing with it, but slowly you will have to develop this habit of writing documentation. Otherwise, what happens after 15 days of good programming, some new assignment comes up and you get busy into that, and another 6 months, when you look at the same code, you don't realize what was written for what purpose exactly. Okay, so documentation also is very important. So this is about trigonometric function. So we have seen exponential function can be written, trigonometric function can be written. You can also take the power, and we have clearly seen one way of writing power is x raised x caret 2. So that will give you square, x caret 3 or x caret 0.5. That will clearly give you the higher powers. Of course, there is a power function also, so you may use that. Say, for example, over here, suppose I am not now interested in degrees and cosine sine values. Suppose I am interested in x square here, okay, and my upper limit and lower limit, let us suppose is phi to minus phi. Okay, and here I'm going to write equal to power a phi comma 2, and that I'm going to drag down. So instead of writing a phi caret 2, I'm using this now function power a phi comma 2. So you may use power function, you may use caret function, both are fine, both are perfectly fine. Okay, so you can write trigonometric function, you can write the power functions. Okay, you can write exponential function, you can write logarithmic functions. So there are different functions available, and you can check what all different functions are available in this formula. Okay, so you can type, for example, insert function, and it will give you an entire table. Now you can select a category, and then you can say that math and trigonometrical function, and you will get various values like absolute function, which means whether number is positive or negative, it will give you the absolute value, or a cos, a hyperbolic cos. So a cos stands for arc cosine or cos inverse, or a cos stands for inverse of hyperbolic cosine, and so on. Okay, so there are various things. Then there are combinations for given number of items, and all those things are there. Okay, so we'll see some of these functions step by step, but my today's main exercise is how to quickly generate a graph for given function, which will help us to grasp an idea of how function looks like. Okay, any questions, any difficulties, or anything that you have thought of and want to ask?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I want to ask that in one sheet, is there the provision to plot multiple graphs? Like in a single sheet, can we plot different graphs?
Yeah, good.
And compare?
Yes, it is possible to do that. So let's quickly see that. Okay, I will delete this graph, and suppose I am interested in plotting x cube also along with this. So what I will do is I will write equal to power this comma 3, and okay, I don't need to drag, I can directly write here, say C6 colon C365, and I paste it. Okay. So I get here minus 125 and plus 125, but then 25 and 125 becomes too large difference, okay, on y-axis. So what I will do is I will reduce my scale. Okay, so suppose I keep it between say 2 and minus 2. Okay. Now I want to plot all three things. So what I'm going to do is all three things I'll choose. See what has happened. I have selected three columns together. And I'm going to insert that sheet. What Excel will do is it will treat first column as your X variable and next two columns as two different series of Y variables. So two different functions, and it will plot two different plots. So let me put that to see what it has done. So let me expand this. So you see here, there is a legend which says that the blue one is series 1, which is going to be x square, and you see that is a parabola. And the red one is series 2, and it has plotted basically x cube curve. Okay, so yes, it is possible you can plot multiple functions simultaneously when you want to make a comparison. Say for example, here you want to make a comparison where the two curves intersect. Okay, so you see that typically at x equal to 1, they should be intersecting, because at x equal to 1, x square is also 1, x cube is also 1. Okay, and you can also see for here, I mean, suppose I am interested in 0 to 1. Okay, maybe 1.2. Now this is the function 0 to 1.2. So you see the first function is x square. I can change the legend labels also. I will do that in 2 minutes. Okay. But suppose this blue curve is a square curve, the red one is cubic curve, and the certain physical interpretations say that between 0 to 1, you see that I mean when the number is less than 1, the square is greater number than cube. Okay, and when number becomes larger than 1, okay, the cube start dominating than square, and that happens many times in physics equations. Okay, that particular term may have a square term, and you may have a addition of multiple terms. Okay, and then you know that certain particular term is going to be more dominating in certain range, and other term becomes start dominating more in another range. Okay, so say here for example, x square is dominating in between 0 to 1, and x cube start dominating beyond 1. Okay, so even these kind of things can be checked and understood when you want to do this. I want to add these two functions and see how it gets added. So what I can do is equal to this number plus this number. See, I don't have to even type that name of that cell or the address. I just click on that cell and it picks up that name. Whenever I want to write a formula, I can start with equal to sign. I type equal to, then I click on that cell, so it takes that value. Then I type plus and I click on this cell, so it takes this value. Now this is the addition of the two. Again, I will have to paste this. So D6 to D365. Remember, I started this with angles and degrees, and therefore I have taken such 6 to 365 kind of range. Okay, but I have added the two additions, and I want to add this in this graph. Suppose I am interested in adding this in this graph. So what do I do? Okay, so what I do is this. I want to add this new column, new graph. Okay, I can remove this selection by pressing escape, so the selection is gone. I right click on the graph, then I click on select data. So it opens up a table. Now I couldn't change I had changed the font of this Excel sheet so that all of you could easily see, but here I cannot change the font, but hope at least you can remember how it looks like. Okay, and then I can add, there are already two series 1 and series 2. I can rename them, but I can add the third series. So I will add third series. Now that third series I want to name. So it is x square plus, x square plus x cube. I can do this. I can write name like whatever I want. Or what I can do is I can also write addition, okay, for simplicity. Then it asks for X series values. So when it asks for X series values, I'll click on this, the right hand side, this small blue thing. Okay, so it got minimized. I will choose what values of X I want. So I wanted from A0, sorry, A5 to A365. So here that entire address is clearly written. Sheet 3 exclamation mark $A $5 colon $A $365. Now you have understood what is the meaning of dollar. Dollar means you are locking that cell. So it is taking range from sheet number 3 because this is the third sheet. Okay, if I change this name also will change. So sheet 3, that is name of this particular spreadsheet, exclamation mark. Then the first cell colon last cell. So first cell is $A $5 here and last cell is $A $365. Once this range is selected, I click on this. So my X values are selected. Then I will select Y values, and Y values I want from D5 to D365. Okay, so it got selected D5 to, when I clicked on D5 and then I jumped shift control down arrow. So I selected the entire column. So D5 to D365, or you can drag using mouse. Okay, and I select this. So when I do this and I say okay, third also got added. And what you observe now here is this third series whose legend is addition, because I had written that label as addition. Okay, and it is addition of the two. This you can clearly see. Now this becomes more clear when especially you go from negative range to positive range. So minus, say for example 2 to plus 2, if you want to go, here it becomes very clear that green thing is nothing but addition of this parabola plus this x cube function. Okay, and in this small region it is slightly becoming positive and so on. So suppose I go from -1 to +1, it will get you can clearly see here what is happening. Okay, so it starts from 0 because it is +1 -1 addition. Okay, then it becomes more positive, and then again it starts here on both are positive, and therefore it starts rising faster. Okay, so yes, it is possible to have multiple plots in the same chart. Is it fine? How to add extra plots? Is that part
Yes, sir.
clear?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Oh, yes.
Sir, if we want to plot a graph and if the X series and Y series are not adjacent to each other, then how to plot the graph?
Okay, excellent question. If X series and Y series are not adjusted, what to do? Let me show in the same sheet. I'll delete this. And I'm only interested in this X and this addition, which I'm writing here as addition. Okay. So what I will do is, I'll tell you the keyboard shortcuts. I will tell you the without keyboard shortcuts also how to do. Keyboard shortcut becomes useful because I'm going to first click on A5. I press Control Shift. I press Shift Control down arrow. I have selected this. Then I have released all three buttons. So I have selected the first column. I hold down Control and I click on this D365. So my first selection remains because I have first held down Control and then I have clicked on this. Then I have kept the Control button down. Now I press Shift and up arrow and just one down, one arrow, and okay, let me go up here. Okay, I release Control and put one arrow down. So what I basically did is I selected this column and this column. Okay, now with some practice of keyboard shortcuts you will be able to do, but I will also show you another way. Then I go to insert, scatter this plot, and I get this plot. Only that first column versus D column. So D column is my Y variable, and the A column is my X variable. So this is that plot. Okay. Now suppose right now initially I'm not comfortable with keyboard shortcuts. I don't know how to do them. So I will delete this. And what I will do is I will start with clean. I will say insert, scatter, and I have inserted a blank chart. It is purely blank chart. There are no variables written in that. And now I'll select the variable the way I added that third column. So I click on right click on this and I click on select data. See, it was a blank chart. I right click and I go for select data. Now I add series. So whatever I want name I want to give, say I say addition. Okay. Then X values I choose from this A5 colon. Now see, I'm not even going to write anything. So I'll say $A $5 colon $A $365 because I know it was from A5 to A365. Okay, completed this. In Y series, I can either click on this and select all that, or I may type out straight away. Here it becomes useful that it is case sensitive. So sheet 4, sorry, not sheet 4, sheet 3, exclamation mark, $D $5, because that is the column that I want, colon, $D $365. Okay, and I select this and I say okay, and I get this plot. Fine. So it is possible to first select first column and whichever other column you want, and then you can click on insert chart and it will automatically plot. Or if it is difficult for you to select these things, see, remember one thing, once you have done selection, and this is a rule for all Office products, you make a selection and you want an independent selection along with this selection. So after making selection, you press Control button down and then do other selections. So what happens is it adds to that selection. Okay, so first column I can select, then I can press Control, then I can add the next column. So both columns get selected, then I can insert chart and I'll get this chart. Another way is I will insert the blank chart and then I will select data. Okay, so what is my X series and what is my Y series or series 1? Okay, so this is how we can add the columns which are not connected to each other, which are not adjacent to each other. Is it fine?
Yes,
Course,
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Of course, we should be able to put this video today. Okay, so don't worry about that. You can see through. You can see this, and you can work using this.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Now, before I proceed further, I want to ask Shekhar sir, do you want to make any addition to this at this point?
No, Mahesh, it's fine. I'll do the remaining, whatever is missed out tomorrow.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I mean, of course, we are going to do these things multiple times, but I just said anything that you want to add in between, you can tell me, I can do here, or you can do by sharing, one of the two.
Yeah, absolutely fine. I think it's going very well.
Okay, so this is about different kind of functions. Okay, now what we shall do is let me show you something that can be done. The interesting thing that can be done. What I'm going to do here is I'm not going to explain everything step by step, but I'm just going to show you certain kind of when I was talking about graphical representation really helps us to understand things. So what I will do is I'll do something very quickly in front of you. I will explain it later. Okay. So let us suppose I want to start from 0 here, and I say 0 to, and I'm writing the column here. So it is this minus this, okay, and divided by, say, I take 1000. And I'm going to write a formula here, E5 plus $A $1. And I'm going to put all this in the next 1000 places. So A6 to A1005. I have selected that. I have pasted it. Okay, I have not pasted because I didn't select. So now let me write here, say A7 to A1005. I could have written from A6 to A1005 also, and I have pasted this. So what I've done is I have put some angles over here. Okay, and what I'm going to do now here is let me just put this as 1, and let me write this as sine of radians of A5. And okay, I'm just going to multiply with this particular number, $3. And here I will copy this formula, but before that, let me make some modifications. So I'm writing $A5. Okay. And I'm going to copy this formula in 2 columns. B5, instead of B1005, I will go to C1005. Okay, B5 to C1005. So 2 columns, and I'll copy it there. And I'm going to write here 1.1. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do addition of this, and we'll see what happens. Okay, some of you are picking up what I'm doing mentally. You will know what we expect, and some of you can think and write before I plot the final output what I've been doing. So here somebody put in the chat, but I'll see that bit later. Okay, let me first check that. Excellent, Pratik. So here what we have is this addition. What is happening here is this number is slightly decreasing. It is not changing by large amount. Okay. Now, instead of, because I have gone from 720 just 2 oscillations, and within 2 oscillations, this is not observed. This is not nicely observed. So what I will do is I'll go to 10 oscillations, and you see here, 20 oscillations, and you see here nice formation of beats. So yes, Pratik, you have nicely observed what is happening here. So what is done here is, this is sinusoidal function, and here the frequency is 10% higher. So I'm writing a number of frequency here, and this is another frequency which is 10% higher frequency, and the addition of the two gives you this beat phenomena. So this is what you can now suppose instead of 1.1, if I go 1.05, okay, then naturally what you expect is the waxing and waning will spread out, and you see it has spread out like this. You can take, instead of 1.1, you can take 1.2, and you see that the beats are faster. Okay, so quickly, just by changing one number here, okay, 1.315, okay, you can quickly see the results changing. And that is the power of Excel here. Okay, that once you have generated numbers, sequences, and plotted graph, just by changing one variable, it is possible that you can quickly make changes. Okay, yeah, Modi sir has written MS Office is free for all Android mobiles. But of course, Android mobiles, then you will have to work on mobile. For that, working on a laptop has a different advantages. But yes, something is better than nothing. So this is what one can quickly do. You can similarly, suppose you are interested in plotting one function against the other function. Say, for example, here I am plotting sine. Okay, and what I will do is I will change this. Instead of adding this number, multiplying, I'll add this number. Okay, so I may say this is 0 and $3 I'm adding. Okay, and what is happening here is I'm adding maybe 8 degree over here, and instead of plotting this graph, and I'm not even interested in this addition, I have got two sinusoidal functions, okay, and they are varying with different frequency, different phase. And instead of plotting angle, I want to plot one sinusoidal function against the other sinusoidal function. So I've selected this B and C column, and I'm going to insert chart. And let me just slide it up, insert chart. And what you observe, this is what you call Lissajous pattern. Of course, the frequency is same here, but the phase angle is different. And I have properly written that formula inside the radians, which means I can write this angle also in degrees. And I can write this as 60 degree. I can write this 90 degree, where you see it is nice circle. And I can write more than 90 degrees. So it becomes, you see the direction of that ellipse changes. You can make it a 180 degree also. So it is going to be a straight line in the opposite direction. You can make it 0. It is going to be straight line. So you can play with this, and you can see various different kind of the Lissajous pattern. In addition to this, you are also interested in the frequency. Then what I can do is I may write additional number over here. So let us suppose this is 1, and let's suppose this is say, okay, and I'm going to multiply this with this number. So multiply with B4. So now I'm going to write $4. Okay. And let me copy this formula everywhere. And you see there is a nice figure of infinity when the frequency ratio is 1:2. You have 2:3 ratio, and you get this. And you can additionally have phase, how 30 degrees, and see how things change. You may have 30 degrees, okay, slightly it is differing. 35 degree, it further differs. 40 degree, it further differs. Okay, and 45 degree, it further differs. 50 degree, it further differs. See what is happening. This also becomes gives you a meaning when, if you have observed these kind of Lissajous pattern on oscilloscope, because there when the things are continuously modifying, what you realize here is the phase is slowly changing. And then you realize that the entire pattern is rotating because the phase is changing. The phase is changing when the phase is not exactly same, okay. The phase difference in them will slowly go on changing, and that is what one can clearly see from such kind of simulation. You might say, well, this is not a power of simulation, but well, this becomes useful as one of the aim we said, okay, to get graphical understanding of graphing concepts. Okay, so whatever you are learning, okay, Excel or Python gives you a quick tool to immediately check how that function looks like. Okay, because graphical representation also plays a lot of role when it comes to looking at a graph and interpreting things. Okay, I'm not talking about data analysis, but in general, when you look at a function and you know how graphical representation goes like, it gives you good understanding in physics as well. Okay, or insight development, it helps. Here I would want to ask whether Dr. Modi or Shekhar to add anything, or our other physics teachers to add something.
As of now, nothing from me, Mahesh.
Thank you.
Yeah, but there was one student who said about the MS Office that he doesn't have access. So I wrote about the
Yes.
Android, but let me say that MS Office for student version is very economical. It doesn't cost you too much of money.
Okay, so MS Office, Office 365 for student version is
Yeah, it costs much less.
right. So that becomes a useful thing, of course. But all these things, what
those
I
who
did
are
till
working
now,
on
can be
MS
done in
Teams,
sheet.
I think for them, I think the college has given them access to online, at least Office 365.
Okay, if
Using
their
MS Teams.
educational institution has MS Teams, then you will have free access.
Yeah,
by the
online.
college.
If they have an MS account, MS Teams account, then by default they get an access to MS Office online.
Yeah. So of course, the cheap price is a relative term. Well, what we can gather from this is, for student version, surely there is more economical availability is there as compared to the availability for professionals. Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got a student version for 3,000 rupees for three users.
Okay, now, yeah, Aruna has asked that you have uploaded pi and e calculation. No, those calculations were given by Professor Vijay Singh today morning. He mailed me, and the paper was written by his son when he was student, and so you will see that Kedar Singh is the name on a paper, and as a student he had written that particular small paper and Fortran code. So Professor Vijay Singh later contributed in that, but he said that this is something I want. I mean, if you think good, you can share with students because it was code written by a student and it was a paper written by a student. He was also studying in St. Xavier's College for his final year physics. Okay, so as a student, things are possible, and see, not everybody will be fortunate that way to have a mentor at home, but surely there are opportunities that we are trying to provide you, so that you can also start writing codes and make. I mean, when you look at different kind of algorithms, as he was mentioning the Madhava's algorithm, other kind of algorithms, when you look at, okay, after learning computational physics, or after going through this course, what we expect is, when you look at some kind of algorithm, you should have that you should have that urge of, okay, let me write a code and see how it happens. Okay, so once you start having that kind of urge, that becomes very useful. So you don't need to learn Fortran.
Mahesh, yes. The best part of that Mahesh lecture was, see, as you see, is that this theory already everything you have done. So like you can go up, pick up a physics problem which you like, maybe based on this, and try it on your own.
Mahesh, if there is nothing else in mind, and if time permits, you can show formation of stationary waves.
So that can be a homework.
Giving some those
Yeah, you can give it as homework.
Yeah, but today's homework is not going to be very, very taxing. but I have certain assignments which I'll upload in some time on a Google Classroom. It is not that I'm stuck with now what to do. I just stopped here because different people may have a different amount of grasping, and many of you might feel that, okay, let me do it parallelly. I'm sure some of them are parallelly doing it. Okay, so I said, let me give them some time. So when they are parallelly working on it, okay, if somebody has tried something, you want to share, you can surely share here. Okay.
Mahesh,
yes.
there is a hand raised by Mona.
Sorry, I didn't see that. Yeah, Mona has asked. Yes, Mona wants to ask something. Yes, Mona.
I'm sorry, sir. My hand was raised by mistake.
It was by mistake. Fine. So, well, this is what we have done. So quickly, I'll do recap and then I'll go to the next thing. So number one, we have learned how to write. We have understood what are the basics of Excel and how to write formula in a particular cell, and you can generate a series of data and you can generate function, and then you can plot that function and you can see how you can do it quickly. Okay. So another thing that we learned is how to lock the cell, how to decide, because every time I want to change the limits, okay, I will have to change this graph, okay, because I may generate more data, I may generate less data. So if you have decided that, well, I'm going to plot a graph for 1,000 cells, okay, and I'm going to fit my upper limit and lower limit within that. So yes, it is possible. So you can lock the cell and accordingly you can decide. Now in this last exercise, look at the formula and see what I have locked, because here when you look at this formula, sine, radians, $A7 into C$4, this could be confusing for some of you. So because I started this cell as writing formula here in this cell B5, okay, what I had written was $A5, which means I want to pick up number from A5 here. So when I go from B5 to B6, I want to pick up number from A5 to A6. Instead of A5, it will be from A6. So I'm not locking 5, but I'm locking this column, because when I copy the same formula to the next column, it should not, in B it was the earlier column. So when I copy the formula into C, if I don't lock that column A, it will take first number from B, and I don't want that. Okay, so whenever I want to pick number from this first column itself, I'm going to lock that column. So $A5 for that. I wanted to multiply that with some particular number which was written in the same column at that, say, third row or fourth row, and therefore it was B$4. So when I copy that formula to the next column, okay, it will pick up from the fourth row of that next column. So the column is not locked here, but the row is locked. So B$4, when I go to column C, it becomes C$4. Similarly, I wanted to add that phase which was written in the third cell. So it is plus C$3. So in the B column, it was B$3. Okay. So whether to lock column, whether to lock row, that decision you have to make, and accordingly then writing formula in one cell, you can quickly do calculations at multiple things. Okay. There is a chat here. Okay, Avani is asking, please suggest some function to plot a graph. My today's assignment is exactly that. I have some 12 functions which you are supposed to plot. Okay. Vishwaroop saying those who have their institute mail ID, they will be able to download MS365. Yeah. So institutional ID may give you Microsoft 365 for free, because it is student account only, provided your institution has already registered with Microsoft. Okay, that is one possibility. That is the requirement. So otherwise, yes, with .edu they give you that access. Okay, now let me go to one more kind of a thing. okay, from what I wanted to discuss. Just suppose I generated data and I want to take different functions and plot those different kind of things. So that plotting part you have seen, okay, A5 plus $A, $2. I'm writing, and here I'm writing 0.1, say, okay, and I'm going to select from the A6, P105. Okay, so I'll go up to 10 because I'm incrementing everything in 0.1, and I calculate tan of this number. Instead of starting with 1 to 10, suppose I want to write arctan, not tan. Okay, so I write E10. And see what happens. This is my X. This is inverse tan function, okay? And it is becoming asymptotic at pi by 2. So that value between 1.4 and 1.6 is basically pi by 2, where it is becoming asymptotic. Okay. Now suppose I start the same as pi here, and then you know that it is going to become asymptotic here as well as it is going to become asymptotic over here. Okay. Now it comes tan inverse function. There is a problem. Any the problem, you need to decide a domain. I have got between 0 to 3 degree. Okay. How the tan function is going to look like? Just quickly calculate that. 0, 360, sorry, 0 and 360, and I want to add 3.6 here. Okay, so my last value is 360. Here I'm going to write tan x equal to tan radians A phi. Now see what is happening here. At somewhere around 90 degree, it is going towards infinity. So Excel will pick up some value and it is writing 2 into 10 raised to 15. It's a huge, large value it is picking up. That is here. What is happening is near 270 also, it is becoming a peak value. Okay. But the problem here is how much tan of 270 degree? What is tan of 270 degree? Any answer? Okay, Sachit, ask a question regarding this.
So your voice is
What I will
breaking.
write few things. Okay, sorry.
We didn't got the question.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is now clear.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So question will not know will give you when possible upload that. So you may be able to do that. Some of the notes, of course, you will get Python good tutorials. These tutors are prepared, so you will get those. But not all notes in Excel you will be getting. You'll get assignments so that as you start doing it, you learn. My question was, I have plotted here tan x versus x, and you realize the problem here. What is the problem? What is tan of 270 degrees? Or what is tan of 90 degrees?
Not defined.
It is not defined, because if you're approaching from one direction, it will go towards plus infinity. If you're approaching from the other direction, it will go to minus infinity. And that is the problem. So Excel will pick up some value because whatever approximation it is going to make, and accordingly it will calculate something. And that is what happens here. Similarly, when you are calculating tan inverse of a number or sine inverse of a number, take only certain domain. It will not take all sorts of things. Okay, so what tan inverse function does is it calculates basically value from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. Okay, from minus infinity to plus infinity, any value take, tan inverse will be given between minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. Many times in physics problems, you need values which could be in the different quadrants. It need not be only in the first and fourth quadrant. And in that case, you will have to decide using other parameters, and therefore you will have to write if conditions okay here to decide what is going to be the domain. Okay, so in our next assignment, what we shall do is we will look at how to write those if conditions and decide the domain. Okay, in today's assignment, I'm not asked all those things, okay, but I'll give you for practice some of the functions which you are going to do, okay, and be ready for tomorrow's session in Excel afternoon, where the statistical functions will be trigonometric functions and usually inverse trigonometric functions. One has to be careful deciding the domain. That is also true in Python. That is also true in Python. Okay, so there again you also have to write the conditions to decide whether the answer is in which particular quadrant, whether it is in first quadrant, third quadrant, or second quadrant, fourth quadrant. Okay, you need to decide that. Okay, so that's about whatever I wanted to discuss today. So thank you very much. Now, if you have any other questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we can end the session. Stop presenting this now.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
Sir, the
yes,
two humps
yeah.
in that the two humps in that graph that we recently saw in the tennis.
Pardon, if you keep your mic closer, maybe it will be better for me.
Hello, is it clear, sir?
Yes, yes, clear.
Sir, the two humps that we show in the 10x graph, x versus 10x graph.
Yes.
Why there is so much difference? Is it just due to that computer Excel algorithm that it is changed anyway?
Okay, the difference is because you see, I was taking values in degrees in integer, or I mean particular fractions, and it was getting converted into radians. So it takes, I mean, it depends on what is the resolution, how many significant digits it is taking. And you see, typically when the function goes to asymptotic, a small change in x will really make a huge big change in the y value. That's why there will be problems. Did you get my point?
So I think maybe that is complete random.
Correct. So one has to see when you say, see, that's a problem not of Excel directly. That's a problem of showing it by numbers, and that's a problem really because it is asymptotic curve. So a small change in x value near that going towards infinity. How do you show infinity in a particular function? The small change in x will change the value of y to very large amount, and this is always a problem in numerical calculations. We'll see that. We'll have a special session on handling errors. So there will be two kinds of errors. The errors that are introduced when we are making certain approximations or certain changes from differential equation to say difference equation, and also when we are the limitations of typical software, or where the resolution of numbers significant degrees that you take. So we'll discuss the error part in one of the sessions.
Thank you.
Yeah. What if we plot a graph directly using the values in degrees? The point is sine function in Excel takes argument assuming it is in radians. That is the problem. We need to write a code to calculate the sinusoidal function, right? Yeah. So Excel assumes that it is in radians.
So likewise, we define like we write sine radians of something. Excel does not understand sine degree of something. There is no function called where sine degrees. I mean, in this version of Excel, surely. Later versions, I am not exactly aware. There are separate functions. It's just that we are not more comfortable looking at numbers and telling us what does that. Somebody says 0.25 radians. We know it is approximately 15 degrees, but we are not very comfortable with that. That is the problem. We are more comfortable with degrees, but calculations of radians. Remember, ultimately, all these algorithms they are using. I mean, all these functions. Computer is also using certain algorithms, and radian becomes a very natural unit. Okay, then we shall meet tomorrow 9:30. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.